You can push away from this. If this guy's like boating in an area, you can push away from that. You can push, like, it completely shits on this guy's ult. Like, this guy is probably gonna like Atos and ult, either your Viper or you or the Doom or whatever, and that's 3,000 gold and most of the damage from this guy that you just counteract. Whereas
you can't force when he's in Atos.
yeah, you can.
No, you can't. So root stops force.
No, it doesn't. I don't think it does.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. Let me try it real quick. I'm pretty sure you can't, unless they changed that recently.
I thought that was changed a while ago. I mean, unless I've been living a lie.
One of us has been living a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you can. What?
Yeah. You can't blink out of root, but you can force staff out of root.
Oh my god.
Alright,
well.
I was pretty sure you're wrong, but this is...
I was so sure I was right. I was very confident.
Yeah, I was like, I would have been like, I was 99.9% sure that I've never heard of that before. But, yeah, it's, also with a blade mail, it only really does stuff if you're dying, and you don't really want to be dying. Whereas a force staff will keep you from dying so you can keep doing other stuff too.
Right.
But yeah, which replay did you want to go into?
I don't know, let's take a look here. What about this 40-minute game? Yesterday.
The loss?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't really like that the Spirit Vessel is fine, but I wouldn't get it before the Force Staff. Yeah, I think Force Staff is just so good. And all your Spirit Vessel is gonna do is, like, when this guy imprisons somebody, it stops the healing a lot, but it's meh. I'd rather you be like, I don't know. I just don't think I don't know how to word or convince how that's not as impactful as having a force staff.
No, I get it. I feel like I understand.
I might be able to like point it out better. But there are some games that getting the Spirit Vessel before the force staff is good. So I don't want it to be just like, oh, getting force staff first is better always. Like, it's good that you're at least like thinking to try and like switch the shit up. It's just not perfectly correct yet.
Right. Yeah, I've been experimenting with items a lot on Clock. Just trying to figure out what works best.
So why are you starting top, and why are you starting with cogs?
Okay, so what I've been doing, what I've found to be effective is I tell my team to secure both bottom runes, and I start with cogs to protect the top rune. And it's generally a fairly high success rate. And also there's Razor with static link, right? So cogs with static link is pretty good.
And then why are you starting top? To do that thing, I guess?
Yeah, so my team can, basically I go to the off lane and with cogs, and I protect that rune with either one person or by myself, and then I tell my team to take 3 to invade bottom runes, and it's been securing us 3 runes in a lot of games.
Okay. So 1 second. The first thing that I will point out is when you're doing that, there's no reason for you to have cogs skilled 40 seconds before the rune spawns.
That's true.
If they just don't contest you, you can have battery assault, which is so much better in so many more situations than cogs. And then I also want to make the point that if you go bottom to start the game here, like the Razor kind of makes it like weird, because I don't really like Razor as a offlaner. He doesn't have anything really that makes him a good offlaner. So you might be thinking, oh, this guy's a shitty offlaner. He needs me to be here, or he's going to be useless, which is like fair. But if you start bottom here with battery assault, you can spend your first minute zoning out the Faceless Void completely with the Witch Doctor. I'm hoping is your position 5, yeah. So you can completely zone this guy out at the first minute with the Witch Doctor, and then you're all gonna hit like level 2, and then this Witch Doctor can solo zone out this Juggernaut for a few more minutes, and then your Juggernaut's gonna be strong enough, because this guy's been getting zoned out for like 5 minutes, that the Juggernaut alone can solo the lane. So by you spending a minute down here, you can completely shut down the Void if it's played correctly, and you open up that opportunity. Whereas if you go top, what's often going to happen is the creep wave's going to be like right here. You're going to have cogs, and you're not going to do anything except for like possibly save your Razor if something happens. So it's like, even at the best, it's like the chances of anything good happening top are very low. So it's just kind of like a low percentage play, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And I'm not saying that starting top always is bad. It's just a lot of the time it has to be a very convincing reason for you to start top. For you to go that over bottom, because bottom's so easy to have huge impact on. And then now, like, this is exactly what I was talking about. You're not going to be able to do shit. Like, you're not a ranged hero, they're at their tower, they're both ranged heroes, what are you doing here?
Right.
Since the bounty rune, what has your impact really been? And that's just, like, that's the nature of it. Like, unless you have, like, again, a reason to be here, all going top is just going to be like a huge risk that either is going to pay off slightly or it's going to end horribly, and then you're going to be useless. Whereas if you started bottom with battery assault, yeah, you might not be getting your 40 gold at the start of the game, but this guy's not level 4 at 3 minutes in the game. Like, this guy could be level 2 if you started bottom. This Juggernaut would have been level 4, this guy'd have no farm, and then he'd be useless for a large part of the game, aside from his Chronosphere. But instead, you go top, you feed a kill, you, like, take up some of their regen and all of that, but you didn't actually do anything so far, and it's been 4 whole minutes in the game.
Right.
See, this is like, if we were doing this game live, lol. If we were doing this game live, the whole game would have been, like, done talking about by now. Because you already made a critical mistake, and, like, the main thing that's going to have happened in this replay to learn from has already happened. So I'm just gonna watch it for, like, a little bit longer to see if there's anything else I can point out, but... yeah, I think this replay is already kind of spent.
Okay. Alright,
Was
that
there-
makes sense.
Was there another one? Another replay that you wanted to go over?
Let's just bang through the losses, I guess.
Sure. Do you want to do the Earth Spirit or stick with the clock?
Let's stick with the clock for now.
But yeah, it's kind of like, the top lane is, like, usually the most important to do something in, but it's the least likely for you to do anything in. The safe lane. The enemy's safe lane, that is. Like, the creep's gonna meet at their tower, and they're gonna have a support or two. And offlaners tend to be pretty weak at level 1, but pretty strong at level 2 or 3, so what you often can do is just win the other lanes, usually your safe lane, hard enough that the rest of the game that lane is won just by you being there for 2 minutes, and then you can look to go mid or top. Because by that time you'll be like level 2 or 3, and your offlaner will be level like 2 or 3. Your mid laner will be level 2 or 3, so it's they have more of their spells to combo with you, so you can usually do more.
Not how I've been opening my games.
Yeah, and that's like, this is why I prefer replays over live games, because we can just like iron out this one detail that's influencing all of your games. Whereas if you did this in a live game, it would be hard for me to like instruct, because you'd be in the middle of the game, and if you already had made the mistake, then you're just gonna have mistakes that compound on top of it. That, like, yeah, you made a mistake, but it doesn't really matter because you shouldn't have been in that place in the first place, because the offlaner is like 3 levels higher than he should be, or whatever.
Right.
And then you're doing this cheeky shit again.
I think it actually works this time.
I mean, even if it does work, it means you're starting in their safe lane with cogs at level 1. Like, this is the best case scenario, and it's still kind of like meh. Like, the Juggernaut didn't lose anything from that. You're at half mana, half health, and you have cogs at level 1. Like, this is going about as perfectly as it can go, and it's still, like, so what? Because now, because you guys took that fight, the creep wave's pushing a lot more into his tower. Did they already kill him once? What the fuck is he doing walking?
I don't know.
Alright. But usually when shit like this happens, one sec. Hopefully the shit doesn't crash. It's been crashing a lot when I use this too often, since the Dota Plus.
Yeah, there's so many bugs in that thing.
Yeah. But what happens oftentimes with this, is your Luna will run through the creeps, right-click this guy, their creeps will attack your carry, your creeps will attack their creeps, which, the only reason that this ends up being fine is that your range creep is dead right now, for whatever reason. Whereas if it was alive, and you made this play, see, she aggroes this range creep, and if you had a range creep pelting on this guy the whole time, when this finishes, they would have 2 range creeps right now, or you would have 2 range creeps right now, they would have 1, and then it'd be pushing into his tower. He'd TP back to lane with full health, full mana. You guys just used a bunch of health and mana. He'd come back to the lane with the creeps at his tower, like, with all of his resources. So, instead of just killing him there with cogs, you could have zoned him out with battery assault. And it wouldn't have pushed out the lane, and it would have done just as much. I don't really value kills after... the only time that I value kills in the early game, like before level 6, is if it's right after you've already killed them the first time. So you kill them and their TP's on cooldown, so they have to walk all the way to base. Or if it's first blood, because the first blood gets you an extra, like, 200 gold. So what should have happened here is this guy dies, he comes back to the lane, full health, full mana, with a creep wave under his tower. But for whatever reason, that doesn't happen here. And then here you guys are lacking damage, but like, these guys provide a good bit of damage in Sunstrike. But yeah, it's like 2 minutes in and you don't have your main spell, and that's just because you start with this shit. Like, you're doing a lot of work, but this is like I'd expect it to go this well like 5% of your games. Also, you want to have this your TP scroll.
Yeah, no, not on quick cast.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh, did it crash? Yeah, I realized that immediately after I had TP'd.
Yeah,
And then I moved it into not quick
okay,
cast
good.
slot.
Yeah, that's super. It's actually really big to consistently have that on its own slot on a double click to cast home thing.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened? Talking to the guy about losing my rep. But fucking lost our place because of it. Also, you have your wand as your next item, but my opinion on a wand is it's really good as like a laner and shit like that when you're constantly taking harass. But as a position 4, it's kind of like you can spend that 400 gold and end up getting a wand that gives you like 1.5 health regen, or you can spend like 150 more and never have to worry about health regen for the rest of the early game. And this makes you run around quicker and all of that. Like the bonus healing is nice, and the extra little stats are nice, but it's kind of like, wouldn't you rather go into a fight at 100% health than like possibly have wand charges and go into the fight at like 70%?
Right.
So it's kind of like it gets in the way of you getting your treads, and it gets in the way of, or your tranquils, and it gets in the way of you getting your urn. And then so I do get it sometimes, but I get it in the games that are going very bad for me. And the reason that I do that, it's 2 reasons mainly. First is you can easily, wand is like the best item in the game to buy out in the early game when you're dying, because like if you have your tranquils queued up before your wand, like you'll get your windlace and then you'll get like your stick, or if you have less gold you'll get like a branch and a mango or whatever it is, but it's got really small components, so it's really easy to always be able to buy out in the early game with it. So it can, if you buy it out when you're dying, you can get it for almost free a lot of the time, because if you like let's say you get your I guess if you got your windlace and your like whatever your raindrop, if you got your windlace and your raindrop here and then you went and took a fight and you died with like 100 gold, you can't really buy out anything else other than a wand with only having 100 gold. Or if you have 150 gold, you can get a branch and you can get a mango or whatever. But the second reason, other than buying it out for essentially free when the game is going bad, when your early game is going bad and you're dying a lot, like look, it's 4 minutes in and you're scared of a wisp, and that's just because you don't have your. If you had battery assault, you could have just ran at him and taken his bounty rune. But yeah, it's 4 minutes in and you got this to start, or you get battery assault at 4 minutes, and that just kind of like happens a lot when you start with cogs. But going back to the wand, if the game is going bad in the first 10 or 15 minutes, it's going to like snowball going bad, and with it snowballing going bad, you're going to get your wand for almost free, as opposed to if it's good, you're not going to be dying. And then also, if the game is going well, you're only going to keep that wand for 20 minutes, whereas if the game's going shit, you're going to have it until 35 minutes. So, with all that said, it's kind of like I get wand when the games aren't going well, and that's about it.
Right.
Aside from that, it's a distraction to your other items. Like you would have had your tranquils right now, and you'd be full health, and you'd be a lot more helpful if you're full health and you have the movement speed. And then when you do get your tranquils finally, the health regen from your wand is next to useless, which is one of the main reasons that you buy the item now, is because of the health regen so good. and then after that it'll delay your earn, which might lose you a kill, because if you got your earn 400 gold sooner, you'd have 150 damage nuke. Or if you get your earn sooner and you get the kill anyways, you can use your earn to heal up whoever you ganked with, so that, like, you've probably played like mid or offlane, where you get a kill and you're stuck there at like 30% health after the kill, and then the other guy comes back and you're like, yeah, I just fucking killed you, but I have no health, so he gets the kill back after. But if you have your earn 400 gold sooner, you can kill the guy and then make it like your teammate didn't even like take any damage by having that. So it's just kind of like, wand is good, but only if it's like free and you're gonna have it for a while.
Okay, that makes sense.
Also, don't be afraid to fly out clarities.
Yeah, I've been doing more of that.
That ward block, what a player.
Yeah. Oh, I had a nice play. I don't think it was in this game. But, my cogs up on the ledge up there, in the same spot for vision.
Here?
Not on the cake, it was on the ledge. It was like a Tinker Ward spot. So, in the woods, north of the side shop. Yeah, so like, south a little bit. Yeah, like I ran to the cliff right there, like to the left of the pink tree.
Here?
Yeah, cogs for vision of all these juke paths, and we got the
gotcha, nice.
It was you know, very satisfying.
The style plays. Yeah, Clockwerk just has that shit where you can do a lot of stuff with this kit, and it's very satisfying. But another thing that I can see here is something I do that you don't, or at least I don't think you're doing, is around 6, 7, 8 minutes or so. I usually look at my experience and ask myself, am I gonna hit level 10 with the tome? And if the answer is no, I'll play more experience, like I'll value my experience more, because up until that point I usually don't think about my experience like at all. But if you don't ever think about your experience, you're gonna fall behind and be useless. So with that in mind, like you're pretty close, where if you got the tome, you'd almost hit level 6 off of it, because it's like 700 now. If you had a little bit more experience and you got the tome, you'd hit it, but you should be flying that out. Like right now, you could have a tome instead of a wand, and you'd have your earn, and then you could hookshot this guy and kill him, possibly. But it's like, you should be looking at the tome at around 6 to 8 minutes, and then put it in your quick buy and play around it. Because if we watch here, you're probably not going to get your hookshot until like 14, 15 minutes, because you're not thinking about the tome at all. Fight goes great. You're still low on experience though, because lol bounty runes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we keep watching this. You could have had your level 6 like 4 minutes ago if you played around trying to get your 6 off the tome. Which means that you would have been able to throw out like 3 more hook shots. And early game hook shots usually lead to kills. So I'd say you probably missed like 2 kills by not having your hook shot when you could have had it. Nice relic though. But yeah, so I think this replay is also kind of spent. I think what would be good though is cutting this lesson at 30 minutes, so we have like 5 more minutes, and letting you fix those things before we do another one. Because I think, again, the replays are gonna like basically be continuations of the problems that we already talked about.
Right.
With the
yeah,
like.
That's fine. I actually agree. I think.
Yeah. Because I think the first 15 minutes was like the main part of the lesson, and the next 15 minutes was just like convincing that that's what it is. So we have a little bit more time. Do you have any questions? I'm gonna go back and look through your builds and see if I can find anything on that.
So to recap, basically, generally it's safer to start in the safe lane with battery assault.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever or almost ever start with battery assault.
Yeah. Battery assault is just kind of like cogs. When it's better than battery assault, it's only slightly better than battery assault. And the amount of times that it is better is also a very low amount. So it's like there might be a 5% chance that it's equal or better, but it's only a few percents better.
Right. What are some examples or factors that would make it better?
If you have a Shadow Fiend on your team, and then also if you can't do anything with battery assault anyways. So let's say you have a Lich that's going back to sacrifice, and you have like an Enigma or some shit, and they have like tons of stuns, or they have blink heroes that you can't body out, or basically if you just look at the game and you're like, yeah, I can't really do anything at the start of the game here,
Right.
then you can start with cogs, and you can at least pull back the creep wave for your offlaner by cogsing in his creeps.
Okay.
And then I'd say try to stay away from blade mail.
Yeah, I think that some of this might have been Dota Plus's fault.
Ah, gotcha.
You know, you gotta work towards something.
Got it. Yeah. I don't like the Yules.
You don't like the Yules?
Nope.
Really?
Nope. I'm thinking you're trying to do it to stop this guy's ult and to stop
I mean,
duel.
it stops Jug ult too on me.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but it's like 3,000 gold to stop one specific thing.
Jug ult and SF ult. I don't know. Mirana.
Or you could like force into a creep wave and then still have a cheaper item that's useful in more situations.
Yeah, I mean you're probably right.
It's just Force Staff is kind of part of your combo as your hero, so it's very it's like a Sand King not getting a Blink Dagger kind of.
Right.
Because your combo is you hook in, you either cogs them into your team or you cogs them, and then you Force Staff out of your cogs into your team as your hero. And that's like your combo. That's what you do. You're a Clockwerk. That's just how it is. And then if you have Blade Mail, instead of like going back to your team safely, you're like, alright, well, I'm fucking dead, but you guys are also going to take like 300 damage each. Take that, nerds. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst. Like, you could be going Dagon instead, but it's like, and I definitely understand it, because I used to think Blade Mail was better, but it's just kind of like,
no, Force is definitely better.
Yeah,
it's Blade Mail for sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's also like, I also went through a phase where I thought Midas was just like the best item in the game on like everyone. So it's one of those. It's better than the Midas phase, but it's still like, you got a little bit to go, and that little bit is just fucking by your Force Staff.
Right.
But yeah, any other questions or anything?
No, I think I'm good. I'm gonna play a match real quick.
Go for it. Let me know if you have any questions after. Just shoot me on Steam.
Alright. Thanks, buddy.
Yep. Have a good one.
Take care.
Don't fucking play with me, dude. Get out of here.
Oh, am I?
Fuck off.